Can you believe that we're already at the final Preppin data of the year? So we're looking at Santa's naughty and nice list. If we take a look at this, then we can see that we've got an issue straight away where we can see multiple first names coming through. So as in, for example, this Abigail, we can see that they're on 2 of the nice lists. But then if we see, for example, Abdul, we can see he's on 2 naughty lists, but then 1 nice list. So, what should we do? How should we classify Abdul? So that's what we're here to help with. And I know that in the solution that Tom writes up, he's probably going to maybe do this a slightly different way, maybe with some LODs. But I thought that it was easier kind of to do some reshaping of the data instead. So as always with these challenges, there's many ways to solve it. So it might be interesting for you to see how I solved it if it was different to yours. So, first of all, we're going to take this file paths field, we're going to split it. I did an automatic split because I always like to chance it, and that gives us 2 fields, so one that tells us which list they're on, naughty or nice, and one that tells us the number of that, like the order that those files came in to Santa. So, we just rename those to list and file path number, and then for counting up the number of times each child appears on each of those naughty or nice lists, then I'm just going to quickly remove that file path number. We're going to use it later in the workflow, so it will retain in this other branch, but for here we're just going to remove it because we're going to do a pivot, a rows to columns pivot. And if we leave it in, then it won't aggregate properly, it will kind of keep them all separate, whereas we want to count them across all of those different files. So we're changing this drop down here so it's rows to columns rather than columns to rows, and we're using that list there for naughty or nice, and we're just doing a count distinct of the ID there, so that we get the number of times they're on the nice list and the number of times they're on the naughty list. And you can see we only have 1 row for each child here, a nice kind of uniform distribution there. So we can do a quick check now with a calculated field to say if they've been on the naughty list more than the nice list, then they're naughty. If they've been on the nice list more than the naughty list, then they're nice. Otherwise, they've got a tie. They've been just as nice if they've been naughty, which is probably where a lot of us sit, isn't it? We're all shades of grey. So, what are we going to do about these tied people? So we're going to create another branch, and we're going to create just a list of those who are on that tied list at the moment, and we're going to join this these children who are on the tied list at the moment back up to where we created that list field over here. So we create that join, just joining the first name, making sure it's an inner join so that we don't consider all those children who are already classified as naughty or nice. And then we're going to create an index field. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that file path number that we made earlier, and we're going to combine it with the ID field. So the reason that we're doing that is because the ID field, as you can see, it only goes up to 1,000, whereas we know if we kind of go back to before we aggregated our data, go right back here, we've got over 6,000 rows. So on its own, that ID field is not going to be enough to give us enough information about our data. So combining that with the file path number, if we multiply that by 1,000 and add that to our ID, then that will help us understand the order in which each of those records came in, basically. So what list they were on at what period of time. So now we've got an index field which is unique. If I kind of go into detail, I can see it's maybe not unique. Why is it not unique? Okay, it's because the same child, say for example, sorry, not the same child, it's that on the nice and naughty list, they're kind of going in sync with one another from that first file, and they're counting from 1 to 1,000 in that file. So that's just further evidence of why we would need to not rely just on the ID here, but also on the file path number. So we've made that field so we can get rid of the file path and the ID fields. and then we can work out which is the latest result for each child. So we're going to use an LOD for that. So looking at that index field, going to the menu there, going to create calculator field and a fixed LOD, and that opens up this visual editor for us. We're going to group by each child and do the max index there. And then we're just going to do a quick filter so that we filter to just the latest row. So the latest equals the index. And now we can see that after that filter, we just have, again, one row for each child. And we can see whether they're on the naughty or the nice list, just based on their most recent actions. So we go and we union this back to our data that we had here, but we need to make sure we exclude those tied children. So we've just got those already classified children, and then we're combining them with the children that we've just recently classified there. I've realised I've spelt naughty or nice wrong there, but if I just separate those fields again, this is how it comes together, because we have a list and we have a naughty, nice or tied field. We need to merge those together, so we can either do that here or we can pick up the list and drop it on top of the naughty, nice or tied, and then we can just get rid of the or tied bit to clean that up. And that is our challenge. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've had a wonderful festival period, and thanks very much for watching.